الحمد لله الحمد لله الذي جعل الجمعة من أعظم أعياد المسلمين، والجمعة للجمعة كفارة لما بينهما وزيادة 3 أيام، وهي حج الفقراء والمساكين. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله الذي اصطفاه لكافة الخلق أرسله. والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين وقائد الغر المحجلين، وعلى آله وصحابته والتابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. فيا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله تعالى حق التقوى، وراقبوه مراقبة من يعلم أنه تعالى يسمع ويرى. واعلموا أن خير الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدى هدى محمد، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. All praises indeed belong to Allah in reality. He's the one who made this blessed Friday of the biggest of the festivals and celebrations of the community of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said regarding the Friday, to highlight its many specialties or special qualities, he said, between Friday and Friday, where the Muslim makes the Jummah prayer, is an expiation of anything that a person will commit in the way of wrong deeds in between the two. وَزِيَادَةُ ثَلَاثَةِ أَيَّامٍ, in addition to 3 days after. So we know that Friday has been made a special day for us. In addition to that, the Friday has been made for the poor people and the destitute as a subsidy for the Hajj, even down to getting the blessing of sacrificing an animal on Hajj. The Friday is a subsidy for the Hajj for those who never have the means to go. The way that is mentioned with the sacrifice, it deals with the time. And it said that the person who arrives at the beginning of the Jummah time, when the sun hits that point in the zenith, and they arrive bathed and smelling nice with clean clothes, then the angels, they write for that person the benefit or the blessing of sacrificing a cow on the Hajj. Then in the next 12-minute period, if a person misses that period and they come in the next period, then the angels that are standing, when they come in the masjid, they're going to write the blessing for that person of sacrificing a ram. And then for the next 12-minute period, for a sheep, the next for a goat, and then for the next, the chicken. And then for the late people, or the people who come after the khutbah has started, for them, the angels who write for the sacrifice, they roll their scrolls up and they sit down and listen to the khutbah. And we bear witness that there is nothing worthy of our worship and our dedication besides Allah. And He's singularly unique in that aspect, and He has no partners in that. And we also bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant first and His messenger. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't take pride in being a messenger. He took pride in Allah for making him His servant first and then His messenger. And Allah is the one who chose him out of all His creation to send as a mercy to all of His creation. From His time until the end of the world. So we're asking Allah to send peace and salutation upon him, who is the seal of prophethood. No messengers or prophets after him. And he is the leader who has outstripped everybody in his uniqueness and his brilliance. And we ask Allah also to send salutation upon his family and his companions and those who follow him in excellence until the day of judgment. Meaning that door is not closed. Whoever wants to follow the Prophet ﷺ in excellence, do it, and you'll be included among those people. As for what follows, the advice is always for us to have taqwa. The way that we should have taqwa regarding Allah. And taqwa is a matter that's defined so broadly and in different ways. Some people define it as having fear of Allah, or having fear of displeasing Allah, or having consciousness, or being aware of Allah in all times. And all of these definitions, they not missing their mark. But the way that we can simplify it is we say taqwa is simply doing what Allah commanded us to do to the best of our ability, stopping cold turkey whatever Allah has forbidden us from, the way that we know He would like us to do it, and not the way that we would twist it ourselves. Even simply put, more simply put, just to follow the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ, step by step. And in taqwa is everything we need, and we'll get to that. Sure. And we should observe Allah the way, or with the observance of a person of intellect who knows that they have a Lord, their Creator, and He is a seeing being and He's a hearing being. Not only that, but He sees and hears everything. Why is that important? Because if we observe this, if we observe Allah in everything in that manner, then who in any time of the day in their conscious movements can disobey Allah? When you know that Allah is watching you and you know that Allah is hearing you. For sure, any of us, when we're at work or at sport, or better yet at work, the time where your boss is standing over your desk or over your work site, that's the time when you 105%. You're on point. No mistakes, no lollygagging, no playing. Then what more for Allah, who's always there seeing and always there hearing? That's why it's important for us, after taqwa, to observe Allah in everything, in our resting moments, and in our movements. And we should know that the best thing that has been transmitted to us is the book of Allah. And the best lifestyle is the lifestyle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And anytime somebody tries to insert into this business of ours something that has no precedent in the Quran or the lifestyle of the Prophet, that being whatever he did, whatever he said, and whatever he allowed to be done or said in front of him. Anything that somebody tries to introduce into this affair of ours that doesn't have a precedent in those two things, that's what we call bid'ah, or innovation. And we label it as such because something that has no precedent in the book of Allah or in the lifestyle of the Prophet ﷺ, by and by, it's going to cause someone to be misled. And anytime a person is misled, the end result of that is that they will end up in the fire. May Allah protect us from that forever and always. We mentioned that the Friday has been made among the biggest of the festivals and celebrations of the Muslims. This Friday also falls on another special day, which is the 10th of Muharram. Muharram being the first of the months in the lunar year. So it is our new year. And Allah, He said in the Quran concerning the months, إن عدة الشهور عند الله 12 شهرا في كتاب الله يوم خلق السماوات والأرض منها 4 حرم ذلك الدين القيم. He said, surely the months in the eyesight of Allah are 12. 12 months, they have been ordained in the book of Allah the day that Allah finished creating the heavens and the earth. And of them, 4 are sacred. And that is the straight way. Out of the 12 months in the lunar calendar, the 4 sacred months are the month of Rajab, the month of Dhul Qa'dah, the month of Dhul Hijjah, and the month of Muharram, in which we're in. As for the month of Rajab, it stands alone by itself. It's not consecutive with the other months. And Rajab itself, it means respect or honor. And it's been related in the hadith that Rajab is the month of Allah. And Sha'ban is the month of the Prophet ﷺ, and then Ramadan is the month of the Muslims. As for the remaining 3, they're all consecutive or together. Dhul Qa'dah means the month of sitting it out, or of truce. Dhul Hijjah, the month of pilgrimage. And the month of Muharram, it's in the name itself, it means forbidden. These months, even in the time of ignorance or the dark ages for the Arab people, the descendants of Prophet Ibrahim and Usayd al-Hajar, even in their time, before Islam, these months were respected. No matter how far they got into ignorance, these months, when they came, all hostilities would cease. All infighting and tribal fighting, killing, all of that would cease. Even before, again, the Reformation and the Renaissance of Islam came to them. And as for the 10th of this blessed month, it has varied significance to us as believers. But in general, it is a day of deliverance. And we have it in the Sirah that it was the day that Allah accepted Prophet Adam's repentance. We have it that is the day that the ark of Prophet Noah rested on the top of Mount Judi after Allah gave the command for the waters to cease, for the rain to cease, and for the earth to swallow up the waters of the flood. It was also the day where Prophet Ibrahim ﷺ was saved from the fire of the Nimrud. And also when Prophet Musa ﷺ and his people were delivered from Pharaoh or Fir'aun and his armies. And it's related from the Prophet ﷺ concerning Prophet Musa ﷺ. He said, it was said that when the Prophet ﷺ arrived in Medina, at the time of Muharram, on this day, he saw that the Jews were fasting. So he asked them about that. Why are you fasting and making this day a day of festivity? Why are you considering it a sacred day? And they told him, this is the day where Allah saved us from Fir'aun with the big miracle of splitting the Red Sea, where we walked across in our safety, and then he took Fir'aun out. Not only that, like Allah promised in the Quran, this day we're going to keep your body. You, out of all the countless beings that will pass away, we're going to keep your body sound and intact as a sign for people to come. And it's there in the museums, you can go see it. But the Prophet ﷺ, when he heard this from the Jews, he said, we have a greater right on Prophet Musa ﷺ, or to him, than you all. Why? Because we're the ones who are following the law step by step. The Jews at that time, they were hiding the Torah behind their back and using it as a means to get money from people. So even at that time, they had already fallen under the wrath of Allah. The Prophet ﷺ said, we have more right over Prophet Musa than all of y'all. So he started fasting that day, and initially it was a day where he commanded the Muslims to fast that day. It was our first fasting day. But after Allah gave us the Ramadan, then he came back and said, okay, it's not obligatory. You can do it if you like, you can leave it if you like. And the last year of his life, he mentioned that on the 10th, he said, I'm fasting today, but it occurred to me, just to make sure that we different from them and everything, I would have fasted the 9th had it occurred to me. And in that day, after fasting that day, he passed. So he didn't get a chance to do it, but he clearly let people know what time it was concerning that day in the fasting. And in general, the basic aspects of the fast for the Muslim is very, very relevant for us. It's related to the Prophet ﷺ said, "As-siyamu junnatan lil muslimin." That the fast is a shield for the believer. A shield from what? A shield from their lower desires. Because it's hard for a person to be consumed with the hedonism of, trying to fulfill their every little desire that comes to their mind when they're starving. Because the main thing that you're going to be thinking about is, I'm hungry. Everything else is put on the back burner. And if you keep in your mind, I'm hungry because of what? I'm hungry because I'm refraining from eating and drinking for Allah's pleasure. And that helps to subdue the nafs, or the lower self. And Allah, it's reported that he said in Hadith Qudsi, he said that everything else that the son of Adam or the daughter of Adam does is for them. They get the benefit out of it right away. We don't get no benefit out of starving. We might lose some weight, but we don't get a clear-cut benefit from fasting, from refraining from the lawful things that Allah said we can do. So he said, fasting then is only for me. Nobody can see you doing it. It's not something you can do to be conspicuous in front of people, to get their praise. I mean, maybe you can not, let your lips get ashy or put on the affect of somebody who's starving. But in general, the fasting in itself is only something that can be done for Allah. Allah said, fasting is for my sake, and I'm going to be the one to pay my servant directly with no intermediary in between. And again, coming back to taqwa, fasting engenders taqwa. And Allah, He's guaranteed us certain things. He said, "Wattaqullaha wa yu'allimukumullah." He said, if you have taqwa, then Allah, He will teach you. He'll teach you something that you don't know. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. He said, whoever has taqwa, Allah will create for that person a way out of difficulties and problems. وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. And He's going to give them provision. He's going to enrich them from a place where they didn't count on it. That means He's not talking about what you do in your hustle. He's not talking about what you're doing at the job. You work 40 hours, you're waiting for the check, you expect it should be there on time. He's not talking about that. He's talking about something min haythu la yahtasib, from a place where you weren't even counting on it. So we can keep on going. He mentioned taqwa so many times in connection with so much, but that should suffice. Everybody needs a way out of hardship, and everybody needs their provision to be increased. So may Allah make it easy for us to have taqwa. And as a reminder, we should not hesitate or procrastinate to do the good deeds. It's been related on the authority of Ali, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "Inna akhwafa ma akhafu alaykum ittiba'u al-hawa wa tulul amal. فأما اتباع الهوى فيصد عن الحق وأما طول الأمل فينسي الآخرة." ألا وإن الدنيا قد ارتحلت مدبرة وإن الآخرة قد ارتحلت مقبلة ولكل واحدة منهما بنون فكونوا من أبناء الآخرة ولا تكونوا من أبناء الدنيا فإن اليوم أمن ولا حساب وغدا حساب ولا أمل. He said, the Prophet ﷺ said, the thing that I fear most for you is that when I'm gone, you're going to start following your own desires and things and entertaining long hopes or procrastinating. Every day, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll get better tomorrow. When nobody has a guarantee for tomorrow. Nobody has a guarantee that they're going to walk 10 steps and survive. Nobody knows when the time is coming for them. So he said, as for following your own desires and everything, by and by it's going to lead you away from the truth. Because the self is not concerned with the truth. For us, the self is an inside job. We don't take the self as an enemy seriously as we should. Everybody know about Shaitan. Shaitan, for sure, Allah said, and the Shaitan adu wa he's an avowed enemy to you. So you should take him as an enemy. But the nafs is even worse than an enemy. Because he is part of you, but it don't got no wish for good. It don't wish good for you. Left by itself is going to guide the person always to what's wrong. Like Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, he said, he said, I'm not trying to absolve myself from my Lord's desires in the matter. Because surely the Lord self is always commanding people to do wrong. And he said, as for entertaining long hopes or procrastinating, always putting something off until another time, thinking that I got time. The least of that, he said, for you nasil akhirah. It's going to be a cause for you to forget about the hereafter. Whenever you hear about the hereafter or death, you're gonna say, oh, it's going to somebody else, not me. When somebody mentions death, oh, it's somebody else, but not myself. It's going to cause a person to forget that there's a hereafter even coming, that they're going to stand in front of Allah and be judged for what they do. He said, oh, for sure, be sure that the afterlife, it's already packed its bag and it's on its way coming. It's set out on the trip and it's coming. And he said, this world, you seeing it like it's something, like it's here, like it's going to be here, but it's already packed its bags up and it's heading out the door. It's showing you its back already. And he said, each one of those, the hereafter in this life, has its own people or its children, its own people. He said, then you should make sure you be among the people of the hereafter and not be among the people of this world, running around, wasting your time, chasing something that's done. And he said, for sure, this day or today, it's a day for action and no hisab, no accounting. You can do whatever you want to. You could be on 100 or you can be down in the dumps. And nobody's going to take accounting. Nobody's going to write it all down and say, okay, now let's square it all away. And he said, غَدًا حِسَابٌ وَلَا عَمَلٌ. Because tomorrow, that last day, it's not going to be no time for action. No more time for good deeds. It's only going to be the accounting. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, الذي الحمد لله الذي أمرنا بالتقوى وابتغاء الوسيلة وحدنا على طلب الدرجة له والفضيلة أمرنا أمرا بدأ فيه بنفسه وثنى بملائكة قدسه وثلث بالمؤمنين من جنه وإنسه قال تشريفا لنبيه وتكريما إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. Again, all praise indeed it belongs to Allah, who has commanded us to again have taqwa, to stop what He says stop, and to do what He says do, and to follow step by step the footsteps of the Prophet. And we have to be thankful that those who came before us, they struggled and they strive greatly to see that this religion in all its pure form has reached us here in this place where we were brought and forsaken and disconnected from Islam. But Allah saw fit to make sure that Islam came down to us in a pure form, so that whenever we stand up and say we want to follow the Prophet ﷺ, all we have to do is open up the books. All we have to do is ask the scholars that Allah has blessed us, even from among our own people, and we can know what the Prophet ﷺ lifestyle is like. And He also, Allah has commanded us to, or He's urging us along to climb to a different level in Islam. Meaning Islam is not in a small box. If you're in a spot where you were last year, this year, then that means something is wrong. The Muslim is never supposed to be standing still. We should always be striving to get closer and closer to Allah, not to be standing in the same place. So Allah, He's created all of the rewards on the different levels. For what purpose? To urge us along to climb those levels and to get closer to Him. It's not for any small purpose that Allah, He delineate between the Muslim, between the mu'min, and between the muhsin. Because it's on different levels. When you come in and you accept the Islam, alhamdulillah, excellent, the big blessing. You came in and you submit to Allah and to the basic commandments. And a person can be staying there all their life working hard to just perfect that. But what about being a believer? It involves something less tangible, something that's a little harder to grasp at. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى تحب لأخيه ما تحب لنفسه. He said, among the things of belief, none of you will achieve the level of being a believer until that person would love for their brother or their sister to have the same thing that they would love to have for themselves. And that's no small matter. And he said elsewhere, he said, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى تكون هواه تبعا لما جئت به. He said the person will never reach the level of being a believer until not only he submit himself to the will of Allah, but his lower desires become transformed into following what I brought. Even if you make a mistake, even if you mess up, but your lower desires, they transform into not wanting this and that, chasing after this, that, but the desire itself will be to follow what the Prophet ﷺ brought. So it's in levels, and we should be striving hard to climb different levels every day, every moment, not just to be satisfied with standing and still in place. I make my salat sometime. Alhamdulillah. How about now you stop thinking about what you're going to do after your salat and whether your check hit the bank and so on and so forth in the salat. How about working on making sure that you're not thinking about nothing but Allah and salat. So it's always the next level for us in everything. And among the things that Allah has commanded us We know all the commands are for our own sake. Anything we do when we obey Allah, we get the benefit of that. Among those things that He's commanded us is something that He started with Himself. And then secondly, the angels in His presence. And then thirdly, the believers. He didn't say the Muslim, He said the believer. And He said to show you the special quality and position of His beloved Prophet. He said, Inna Allaha wa malaikatuhu yusalluna ala nabi. He said, surely Allah and His angels, they're sending salutation upon the Prophet. And He said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallu taslima. O you who believe, who are on that rank of being believer, then you also should send salutation and peace upon the Prophet. And Allah, He's mentioned the benefit of that and the nature of that. He said, "Huwa alladhi yusalli alaykum wa malaikatuhu li yukhrijakum min adh-dhulumati ila an-nur." He said, it's really in reality Him who's sending the salutation along with the angels, because we don't claim to have anything to give to the Prophet ﷺ. The one who made him a servant and a messenger and sent him as a mercy to everybody, we don't have nothing to give him. Indeed, every time we send citation on him, we start with Allah, salli ala, recognizing that Allah, you have everything. Bless your Prophet. Send peace on him. And He said, He and the angels are doing that in order to remove you all from the various forms of darkness and bring you into the light. And we all have need to be removed from the darkness. Anytime we step out in this dunya, anytime we turn our head, we're met with darkness. In so many varying forms, we can sit here and count them until Maghrib, and we wouldn't be finished. But what we need is to be safe from that. And it's right there in plain view. Something very simple that Allah has commanded us to do. And He said He's doing it along with the angels. He never said anywhere that He's making the salat and the believers are making salat. He never said anywhere that He's paying zakat or doing the fasting with us. But He said, Inna Allaha wa malaikatuhu yusalluna ala nabi. So even if we just want to join a high brotherhood or group, we should busy ourselves and send a salutation on the Prophet. For sure, we're the ones who gain out of that. And Allah, He is the one who rewards and pays. And we have on us also that the Prophet ﷺ said, Man salla alayya salatan wahidatan sallallahu alayhi biha ashra. He said, whoever sends one salutation upon me, then Allah will make it 10 upon that person. We could stop right there because none of us has the scale or the means to measure one salutation from Allah on us and what it could do. It's related to one of the scholars who quipped and said, surely one salutation from Allah on the day of judgment for a person who is about to be thrown to the hellfire, it should come in between that person and turn the hellfire into an ice and just skate over it. But the Prophet ﷺ, he went further. He said, Man salla alayya ashran, sallallahu alayhi biha mi'atan. Wa man salla alayya mi'atan, sallallahu alayhi biha alfan. Wa man salla alayya alfan, zahamat katifuhu katifi ala bab al-jannah. He said, whoever sends 10 salutations upon me, Allah will make it 100 for that person. Whoever sends 100 salutations upon me, Allah will make it 1,000 for that person. And whoever sends 1,000 salutations upon me and that person will enter paradise, shoulder to shoulder. And that's the guarantee from the Prophet. And it's reported that once the Prophet ﷺ, he was climbing on the pulpit to give the sermon for the Friday prayer. And the companions that were close, they heard him say, Ameen, at each step. Ameen, Ameen. And when he got to the top, alhamdulillah, they asked him, what is the meaning of those Ameens that you're saying? And the Prophet ﷺ said, when I was ascending the pulpit, the angel Jibril came and he was standing beside me. And he began to pray and make dua. He said, whoever in the lifetime of their parents lived while they were alive, either one of them or both, and they didn't do anything to serve them, to help them, to be an aid for them, then may Allah destroy that person. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Ameen. And then the angel wrote the second step, he said, whoever lives with their health during the month of Ramadan, and the 10 days in the beginning they neglected. They neglect the second 10. They neglect the third 10. And they don't do anything in the month of Ramadan where Allah can take and put in their record later on to give them indemnity from the fire, to give them forgiveness, and to give them mercy. Then may Allah destroy that person. And the Prophet said, Ameen. And then lastly, he said, whoever is so miserly or so stingy or so ungrateful for having been put in this community of yours, that when your name is mentioned in front of them, they don't ask Allah to send salutation and peace on you, then may Allah destroy them too. And the Prophet said, Ameen. So if we're not motivated by the blessing, if we're not motivated by the salvation, then at least let us be motivated to be safe. وعليكم بالإكثار من الصلاة عليه شكرا تجد ذلك عند الله هو أعظم أجرا. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد عبدك ونبيك ورسولك النبي الأمي. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أولد والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره من دار العظيم. ورضي الله عن صحابته وخلفائه الراشدين الهادين المهتدين الصديق الأكبر سيدنا أبي بكر المنير الأنور، وعن سراج أهل الجنة الناتج بالسواء شهيد المحراب أبي حفص سيدنا عمر بن الخطاب، وعن منفذ الأموال في يد الرحمن أبي عبد الله سيدنا عثمان بن عفان، وعن باري مدينة العلم ليث بن غالب أبي الحسن سيدنا علي بن أبي طالب، وعن الستة الباقية لا زالت إلى الأولى راقية. اللهم انصرنا بهم وانصر من نصر الدين واخذل من خذل المسلمين. Oh Allah, help us and help those who help the faith and destroy those who seek to destroy the faith. Allahumma ahlik man kana fi hilakihi rahatan lil muslimin. Oh Allah, destroy those utterly who in their destruction will be a relief for the believers anywhere. وَدَمِّرْ أَعْدَاءَ الدِّينِ, and lay low the enemies of the faith. وَاكْتُبِ السَّلَامَةَ وَالْعَافِيَةَ لِعَبِيدِكَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, and write or ordain for your servants peace and safety on the day of judgment. وَنَجِّنَا مِنْ كُلِّ بَلَاءٍ وَرِبًّا وَغَلَاءٍ وَطَاعُونٍ وَزِرًا وَوَبَاءٍ, and protect us from any calamity, nature or otherwise, in this world. وَطَهِّرْ مِنْ جَمِيعِ ذَلِكَ بِلَادِنَا خَاصَةً, and remove all those things from this city of ours, from this land of ours, وَبِلَادِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ عَامًا, and from the lands of the Muslims in general. وَاغْفِرْ لَنَا وَلِوَالِدِينَا وَلِإِخْوَانِنَا ولأشياخنا ولمن سبقنا بالإيمان وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم فرج عن أمة سيدنا محمد. اللهم فرج عن أمة سيدنا محمد. اللهم فرج عن أمة سيدنا محمد. اللهم ارفع عنا الجهل والجوع والعري واكشف عنا من البلاء ما لا يكشفه غيرك. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Oh Allah, give us the best of this world and the best of the hereafter, and save us from the fire. إن الله يعمل بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. Verily Allah, He commands us to have to be just, to justice, and to excellence in everything we do, and to give to those who are closest to us in family ties and in friendship and in neighborliness. And He is commanding us to leave alone the evil deeds and the bad behavior, and He is the one who is exhorting us in this manner so that we may be among those who reflect.
Takbir. Takbir. Takbir.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Make sure you straighten your ranks. The straightened rank is a part of prayer. Allahu Akbar. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت وإلى السماء كيف رفعت وإلى الجبال كيف نسبت وإلى الأرض كيف سطحت فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر إلا من تولى وكفر فيعذبه الله العذاب الأكبر إن إلينا إيابهم ثم إن علينا حسابهم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, I just wanted to let you know that we do record our Jumas that are streamed live on YouTube. So if you want to subscribe where you can get it to your phone even when you're not here, when you go to YouTube, put in a search for Ibn Media Net. That's one word, no spaces. Ibn Media Net. And all of the Jumas that we've had since we started recording, that's been some years now, are on that. Now, if you give us 10 minutes, the CD will be available. It's $10 each. The announcements, the Health and Wellness Committee will be providing hereditary cancer screenings, blood pressure and blood sugar taken here at the Mansion on Thursdays between Gura and Asa Prayer, beginning 9/28. Tomorrow, Imam Fahim Shuai will be here for a book signing. He's got a new book out. Everyone should get a copy. And that will be between 2 and 5 tomorrow. Sunday, Dr. Zenobia Day Price and her husband, who are opening a medical facility